Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Friday, end of the week, and it is the 20th of March. This video is for educational purpose only. There's no recommendation advice whatsoever intended. I'm just trying to share my experience using the charts and technical analysis to read the market and how I use the technical indicators and how you can do the same. So let's start with what went on in the US market. Last night we had the oil and gas exploration sector illustrated here by the one of the ETFs that you can trade out there. It formed what we call a shooting star candle here yesterday. So market opened a little bit higher, then shot higher, and then it sat back. So that is an indication of a top of reversal pattern. However, it doesn't seem like there's any divergence on the RSI, and we can check that, put that one in there, and then we can extend it to the left, and you see there's no divergence on the RSI, indicating we could still see higher levels, but maybe after a little bit of correction in the oil sector. However, if we look back really far back on the monthly chart, we can see, well, we took out the June 2022. We are trading in the area around July 2018 here, and we are just crawling. Well, we haven't taken it out just yet, but there is some strong resistance in that area. So that could be an indication that we could see a little bit of a correction, at least short term, but you can see here bullish trend all around. Also on the weekly, as we can see here, no divergence. We are a little bit stretched, but again, we could push higher after a possible correction. If we're looking at another one in that sector, it is the oil service. This usually minor, smaller companies compared to the big ones like Exxon, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, and so on. Here we have the oil service companies, and I'm not recommending anyone, but it's companies like FTI, it's companies like SLB, Halliburton, Noble, and a few others. The oil service companies here illustrated by the sector ETF, and it is in a bullish trend. Had a strong day yesterday, pushed higher, and it is indicating we could see higher levels. There was a bit divergence here on the RSI. We had this top candle in place, but after correction, it seems like we are pushing higher. If it takes out the peak there from early March, then there is further upside potential for the oil service also. The other sectors were most of them were still lower. We saw the rare earth material lower. We saw the agribusiness also. That's usually food companies and a lot of other companies. But they bounced throughout this session. Here we have the tech sector that bounced a little bit, as we can see. And we can see here, it's actually quite interesting. You can see that it has some strong support down here around 135 on the State Street Tech Selector ETF. If we're looking at another sector that actually did quite okay yesterday, it was the semiconductor industries. They opened lower, but then sellers lost control and buyers took control. And we are still in this cloud area here, just below the 55 moving average. If we move back above 345 on the SOXX ETF, Semiconductor ETF, then I think we are back in a bullish trend, and RSI could be knocking on the 60 threshold again. So really interesting times that the semiconductors are actually the best performing ones at the moment, together with the oil industry. Nasdaq 100 opened lower, but buyers came in from the get-go almost and lifted it a little bit back. We are still in a bearish trend, still negative sentiment, but RSI stayed above 40 threshold, was below here, so that's why we are in a bearish trend and a negative sentiment. But it didn't get all the way down to 24,000 support area, so we are trading around the 200 moving average. However, here aftermarket and pre-market, especially here in early session, we are actually sliding lower again here on the Nasdaq 100 futures. So The 24,000 is still in sight and could once again be tested and maybe taken out. So be careful what you're doing. Here the S&P 500, let's start with the cash index, S&P 500, actually opened below the minor support there, 6,600, but closed back above, trading around the 200 moving average. Then we have the key one here, 6,534, negative sentiment on the RSI. And as we can see here on the future, well, it is actually also sliding lower again after the close overnight. So still 6,540 area that could be tested, negative sentiment. The Dow Jones future is also sliding lower. We have seen a sell-off in Dow Jones the past few days, testing support there around 45,830. Could push down to below 45,500, 45,387, and then maybe we'll see a bounce. But negative sentiment, a little bit stressed to the selling, but fairly heavy on the markets in general. Excuse me. The Russell 2000 small caps opened lower, but managed to get back above 245 support there. Still negative sentiment. We are in a bearish trend, but that was a fairly strong signal to send. In the Asian session, we had Hang Seng lower, actually closing below the support area, but it is 25,145. Didn't take out these lows here, but it could do it the next, well, not the next few days, because then we have the weekend, but early next week. So let's see what happens. A lot of things can happen over the weekend. So quite heavy. 24,475 is the next support, and is coming all the way back from this area here. So there is quite heavy on the Hang Seng also. Nikkei is still holding on above 51,170. European markets, EuroStoxx got hammered yesterday, more than 2% down to the 200 moving average. Didn't take out that lows there from a couple of weeks ago, but bearish trend, negative sentiment. Here pre-market, it hasn't just opened yet. It actually bounced a little bit after European market closed yesterday, and that's where we are trading around at the moment. This 5,600 level here. Still bearish trend, could slide lower again. But the key support here, just around 5,010, 5,486, is really strong support. As we can see, it bounced here on the 9th of March, and it could bounce from this again. So, but we are to the weaker side, no question about it. But there will be some buyers maybe coming in. We have DAX index more than 2.8% lower, actually close below that support there. And you can see there's not much stopping it now, really. To push lower that gap there, that we do not like to see, but it is nevertheless there. It did, of course, bounced a little bit in the aftermarket here, illustrated by the CFD. Didn't take out the spike down there, and then bounced back above the 20, just to around the 23,000. So let's see here the next few days what it can do, but it's really crucial here going into next week also. If it takes out these lows here, well, then there is potential much lower. On the FX market, euro dollar spiked up to the 786 retracement of the sell-off there at 116.12, and then sitting back. If it takes out the peak from yesterday, well, then we could be up here in the region around 116.70, where we have the 200 moving average. We have the 100 also coming down here, and the 55. So that will be a really strong resistance area. But let's see if it will actually do that. I wouldn't be surprised to see that push up there. But let's see. If it starts sliding back, the bearish trend could resume, and we are in a bearish trend. It's just a strong support there at 114. Negative sentiment, no divergence on the RSI. Is actually indicating lower levels, but we are in a correction phase that could take it up to that level. The sterling dollar, strong move yesterday to the upside. Didn't get all the way up to the this peak and resistance there at 134.80, 82. but we didn't have the 55 moving average coming down. We are still below here on the 200 moving average, trading around the 786 retracement. But let's see. And what I will also show you just on the 1 hour, it actually looks similar on euro dollar. This is the 60-minute chart. You can see we had the spike up, then setback, and then bouncing again. So that could actually be another push higher here. So we actually also have a quite nice five-way, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 maybe higher. So no divergence on the RSI on the 1 hour chart. So that could indicate we could see another spike higher for sterling dollar, and euro dollar looked quite similar to that. Euro sterling, well, just humming away sideways here to the weaker side. You can see that the 55 coming down there, negative sentiment also to the downside pressure, still the 86 level here. That is the key strong support. Dollar yen is a massive sell-off yesterday. Didn't get all the way down to the 38.2 retracement there, just below 157. I think it can still do that in a correction phase, but it's a really strong bounce it did, but it's not unlikely. If it takes out the lows today and yesterday here, then we are likely to see it down there. But otherwise, keep an eye on it. And I'm looking at the 1 hour chart at the moment. It is a little bit undecisive. It's actually indicated we could see a push lower in a correction phase. However, medium term, it is still in a bullish trend. If we're looking at the weekly chart, we did close last week above the key resistance there, and it's merely just a correction. But let's see what it will unfold the next few days. How big the correction, or going into next week, how big the correction will be. Euro yen basically still trading sideways here between 181.80 and 184.75 with lower peaks or lower tops there. So we are a little bit to the weaker side, and what I can do, I can actually draw maybe some trend lines that we can have a little bit of look at. And let's see here, we have another one here. So we have this kind of it's not a wedge, flag-like pattern, or yeah, let's see what it will happen. Will it actually test the lower falling trend line there, or will it take it out to the other side? We have the 55 holding down a little bit here. We are below the cloud, so we are to the weaker side. So I wouldn't be surprised if that support was being tested once again. But again, at the moment we are bouncing a little bit. If it crawls back above 184 and back above the cloud here, then I think we could see uptrend resuming. So it's a little bit on the knife sets at the, well, not knife sets, but indecisive mode at the moment. Aussie yen still crawling higher, dipped a little bit below here, but it's still in a bullish trend for now. But if you see it breaking below the rising trend line, then be careful. Then it could mean that the trend is about to end. Sterling yen tested support there at 210.80, bounced off it and bounced off the rising trend line, and could have a go at the resistance here just around 213.35 if it takes out that, and I think it will do that. If it gets up there, well, then there's potential higher to 215, possibly higher. The onto the Aussie dollar, well, trading around the 61.8 retracement there. Can't make up its mind. It is in a slightly bullish trend with this channel-like pattern here. If it takes out the peak here from a few days ago at 71.25, then I think we will see a push up to 72 and possibly also higher. Dollar Canada, just below the resistance there at 137.50, 55, where we have some strong setting back. You'll see RSI being rejected at the 60 threshold. So is that the name of the game? I mean, we have the 100 moving average coming down, crossed below the 200, but the 200 was rising at the same time. So it's not that strong a cross, and it is not a death cross because they have to, both of them have to be declining, and they weren't. So we can also see we're just trading here in the cloud, trying to get out of it. So let's see here next. Can it take it out? That would be key, or will it slide back below the cloud and back below 136.50. Sterling Canada, massive move yesterday up to the 786 retracement there, pausing a little bit below the 100 moving average. RSI rejected at the 60 threshold, so I think we will see maybe setting back. But if it takes out the peak here from today and yesterday, well, then we could see a push up to these peaks area here and just below the cloud at 185.60. Swiss franc also higher yesterday, so some weakening there, but we could see a test the key resistance here just around 91.50. That would be crucial, and we have the 55 moving average coming down. We are just below the cloud, so that would be a strong resistance. We also have RSI where it's got rejected, seems to be rejected at the moment, so it needs to close both above this resistance, and RSI needs to get back above 60 threshold to really establish a bullish trend. Otherwise it is likely to slide back lower. The dollar Swiss spiked up to, we talked about it yesterday, that could the past few days it was likely to play out, that scenario. It spiked up to the 200 moving average that knocked it down, and the 786 retracement here just around 79.5, and then back again. And what we can do, we can actually remove this one here, because we do know that the next one is up here. First of all, that we have some resistance area here just around 80.40 level, but then we can also add a Fibonacci to this uptrend here, and that can help us a little bit to see where there are some levels where it could move back to. But still, again, it is the 78.70, 78.15 area here that is key. We have the 55 moving averages that is virtually flat. That is a bit of quite a fairly strong support. It did, you see how it tested this level several times before it really took it out. So it could be a key level to test again if it slides back. The dollar index set back to the 786 retracement and testing the upper rising trend line there, and now it's bouncing again. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, well, then we are looking at 98.48, possibly all the way down to 98. So quite a big move in the dollar related crosses, most of them at least. So let's see. Or will it bounce further? We are still in a bullish trend, and we will be so until it moves back below 98.48. Then it is seriously in jeopardy and could turn into a bearish trend. On to metals and gold to start with. We saw gold, massive sell-off yesterday, spiked below the 100 moving average down to 4,500. And then a strong bounce here overnight in Asian session, and we have bounced quite strongly. So let's do this and add a Fibonacci to this sell-off here, and see where we have some levels to look out for. Well, we could bounce up to the 38.2 retracement there at 47.83, and then we have the strong resistance here at 48.40. Then it actually went fairly straight through. Negative sentiment though on the RSI, so there is further risk to the downside, and if it takes out the lows there at 4,500, well, then we could suddenly be looking at these levels down here at 42.70. But the 100 moving average is really a key level to watch out for. What we can also see here on the weekly, massive sell-off lately, dipped below the 21 moving average. We are really far away from all the other 55, 100 and 200 moving average. We saw massive divergence there on the weekly chart, indicating uptrend exhaustion. So it is not unlikely that we will set back even further here towards the end of the week and into next week. Silver also massive sell-off yesterday, dipped not all the way down to this spike down there, but we are in a negative sentiment. We are on a bearish trend, and I think we will, after this bounce here overnight, well, in Asian session, overnight for me, not for them, but here, then I think we will still could bounce, could slide lower. If it takes out 64, then it could spur another round of selling. You will see massive spikes. So really, and is this the bubble that is about to burst? And if it is, then it will get back down to the this correction phase here, and that would be a massive move. I'm not saying it will do that, but mark my words, it was a bit of a bubble, and bubbles always comes down to at least the latest correction before the blowout top, and that is that range here between 54 and 45. I'm not predicting it, I'm just telling you what it normally will do. So I think if it takes out the 64 there, then I think we will see it down to that level. So that will be a massive story, really massive collapse. So let's see about that. Platinum dipped to the 1884 support and then bounced. The RSI actually, quite interesting, stayed above 40 threshold, so that was quite interesting. But if it takes out the lows from yesterday, well, then we could be looking at 1730. And copper also has been a bit volatile, spiked to the lows here around 530, and then bounced at these lows. It comes over here, and even is probably for just that, that was just a little bit below that. Over here, so we did get all the way to just above the 200 moving average, but we are still on the weaker side, but a nice bounce there. We could slide lower and maybe have another go at 528, so let's see about that. You can also see a collapse there in motion, negative sentiment on a daily on the RSI. WTI crude oil still range bound here after the past few days. 102.42. If it takes out that, then we are pushing higher towards the 120. If it takes out 91.95 here, well, then we could see further setback below 85, 82 possibly. It is Brent crude oil that has been really pushing towards previous peak. Didn't get all the way up there. That was 109.5. This was 109.13, and now we're setting back. So I have added, excuse me, I have added the Fibonacci to it, and it spiked up, and then it touched the 38.2 retracement there at 104.63. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, the key support there at 91.54. That will be key if that will be tested or taking out. If it does, well, then we could see it further setback. However, I have indicators that indicate much higher levels on crude oil. So if it takes out these peaks there, then we are looking at levels like 160 all of a sudden, and that would be no fun for any of us. The European nat gas and that spike yesterday was because the Qatar gas facility was hit by Iran. So not really. So that and since Europe get a lot of gas from Qatar, also from Russia, unfortunately, but also from Qatar. Well, then it was this spike there yesterday. So that was a massive move, but in a setback. That was a panic move. Really, it shot up to the 138.2 retracement. We can also see here on the weekly. It was a massive move that we got up in this fast area here. We took out all these peaks there. So be careful. If it closes this gap down here, then it could collapse further, but I think we will see it staying elevated for some time. US nat gas, well, it's basically just in the bigger picture sideways here, so not much to talk about, between 277 and 3.5. On the interest rate or yield side, US Treasury yield spiked higher above 430, can still continue higher. There is a positive sentiment. There is room up to around 434, 35, these peaks here. And if it takes out that, which is not unlikely, we can also see the 100, the 55 coming around here, starting to rise. The 200 is getting more and more flat, so that can also turn around. And then we could have a massive gold cross here in about a week's time or so, maybe a little bit longer. And that could potentially lead to or indicate higher levels towards 445, 450. So really something to look out for there. There's some strong support here in the 415 area. Moving on to the European yields, and which is here, and we can see it's pushing higher. And I will add a Fibonacci to the European 10. Oops, didn't get, there we are. So what are we looking at? We could be looking at, oh, that was the wrong one. I don't know what happened there, sorry. Here we are. that looked a little bit weird. We spiked higher yesterday, and then we sat back. We actually spiked just above 3%, just to 3%, just a few ticks over. You can see here, very, very close, just around 3%, then set back. So I'll adjust this a little bit. Still, if it takes out the spike down there at 287, well, then we are looking at lower levels. However, let's have a look at what's going on. If I just zoom out, we see we haven't seen these levels there for a long time, but we do have levels around, there we are, just 302, so that could be tested. UK 10-year, it's a trading view chart here. It's a little bit annoying at times. So we saw a push yesterday above the resistance there at 486, and is in a bullish trend. It hasn't opened just yet, but there is potential higher, and there is potential up to around these levels here, around 490, almost 5%. So that could hurt the British economy also. Moving on to the Japanese 10, well, not as much, but still pushing higher, and key resistance there around 230, 231. On the crypto market, setting back still a little bit here, but we are in a slightly bullish trend, positive sentiment. So let's see if we can crawl higher in the next few days. It is a fragile uptrend though, and we can also see here that the Ethereum got knocked back here from the 38.2 retracement. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and a nice weekend, and keep charting out there and be careful.